Hey, there's a concept in psychology named the sunk cost fallacy, and this might be the reason why you cannot make that decision even if you internally know that you have to. But wait, before we start, keep in mind that this is what we'll be discussing in the video, so feel free to navigate through it with the help of timestamps. So straight to the point, what exactly is the sunk cost fallacy? And this basically tells that sometimes we can't abandon something just because of the fear of having wasted resources or an investment. And this can be time, money, or efforts. Let's go back to being a kid. And let's say you have three toys. You have a Barbie, a board game, and a coloring book. So you have to choose one of them to play with. And let's say you choose the coloring book, but after 10 minutes you get bored and you just don't feel like painting anymore. But you start thinking about, like, oh, maybe I would be having more fun if I was using the Barbie or maybe the board game because I could be playing with my siblings or with my friends. Start thinking about the other scenarios. But you stick to the coloring book because you've already spent 10 minutes of your life doing that. Even if you're not enjoying it anymore, you stick to that just because you've already put efforts into the coloring book. Now let me ask you a simple question. Do you like to lose? Probably not, because this concept, the sunk cost fallacy, is actually related to the fact that as humans, we don't like to lose. Never. Nothing. Now you may be wondering, how does this actually translate to life situations? So let's talk about that. Okay, so first example is going to be with relationships. Doesn't matter if it's a love relationship or a friendship, but let's stick to the romance. So let's say you have a toxic relationship. Sunk cost fallacy would be present here by you not being able to break up with that person just because of the time spent. All the time you've invested in this relationship, whether it's 6 months or a year or 5 years, it won't be easy for you to break up with that person, mainly because you're going to think like, oh my god, I've spent the past 5 years with this person. I should stay with this person just because of all the time I've spent with them. It's mainly the idea of throwing away 5 years of relationship. So next example is regarding school or anything about studies. There's this person who's studying but they don't like their major. Let's say you are passionate about art and poetry and writing, but you're studying medicine. So you spent 3 years of your life in med school already, and you don't like it. In fact, you hate medicine, but it's not easy for you to make the decision of dropping out of school because you've already spent 3 years of your life there. So it's like, okay, maybe I should just finish and get my degree. But if you just don't like it, if you don't see yourself doing something with that, if it's not in your future, then it doesn't matter if you spent 3 years of your life already, because it's not like you're going to like it. So another example of how sunk cost fallacy comes to life is in business. So let's say you have this strategy and you've spent a meaningful amount of money on that, but it's just not making any conversions and it's not working out, basically. You won't stop assigning part of your budget to that strategy because you've already spent a meaningful amount of money on it, and it basically is like accepting the fact that you failed, that your strategy failed, and we don't like to fail, we don't like to lose, so we've already spent a certain amount of money. Let's continue because I cannot accept the idea that this is not working. Last example is just a simple one. And when I learned this concept in a neuromarketing course, I realized that it applies to everything because it's psychology. So the last example is leisure. Have you found yourself watching a YouTube video or maybe a TV show? There's Grey's Anatomy or The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones, those extremely long TV shows that have plenty of episodes. But let's say you're in season 5, so it's easier for you to just finish because you've already spent 5 seasons, whatever that is in hours, of your life, meaning time, watching that. So it's like you just You've just invested all of that time watching the TV show or the YouTube video, so it's just easier to finish it by this time. So just to repeat it once again, every single example I mentioned has something to do with money, time, or efforts. Those resources are extremely valuable to us and we do not want to lose them. By now you probably are thinking about every single time that this happened to you and you're like, oh my god, I've been there. I can relate. It happened to me. Because that was me when I learned about this concept. But now that you are aware of it, which is the most important part of everything, is there an actual solution or a way to mitigate this from happening? And the answer is yes. Or well, kinda. First I want to talk about emotional attachment, because you're not gonna lie, like, even if it's school, if it's a business strategy, if it's even more with relationships, like there's emotions in between. So you should work on not getting emotionally attached, like that deep, to situations, to things, because then something like this might happen. Separate the past from the present and the future, which I know sounds so cliche, but you can make a decision today that will impact your present and your future. There's not magic or science or anything that will make you be able to change or impact the past. My leg fell asleep. So as I was researching to create this video, I came across with the concept of opportunity cost. This concept basically tells us to analyze what are the benefits of me doing X or Y or Z, so that you can make a better decision. So using the example of the business strategy, what are the benefits of me allocating more money to that strategy that is not working? Probably none. What are the benefits of me stopping doing that? Maybe I can change a change of strategy and then come up with another one that might work and test it. My final thoughts on this are that the most important thing is to be aware when it is manifesting in our lives, so that you're not biased by the sunk cost fallacy.
So, before wrapping up this video, I wanted to add a more personal message to anyone who's currently in the position of making a hard decision. And I know I talked about many situations that are hard and complex, but it's easier to talk about them than to actually go through them. And to be fair, something I noticed is that we really are ruled by emotions, but this shouldn't be the case. We should be the ones in control of our emotions. And for example, what I was saying at the beginning of this video with the kids and the toys, like, I remember when I was a child, I had a lot of blushes. I still do. But I used to hug each and every one of them because I didn't want any of them to feel less loved by me. That's just an example of how we really are emotional creatures, but the point here is just be aware of issues like the sunk cost fallacy and your emotions, so that you're not biased by either of them when you're trying to make a decision. And something else I wanted to add as well is that you've got this and you're going to be alright. I sometimes struggle to make decisions because I want to know if it's the right decision, but the truth is we can't know. There's no way for us to know that, and that's okay. And there's no wrong decision as long as you turn it into something good, like a lesson. In the end, I guess I just wanted to say that you're going to be okay and that you've got this. Don't be too hard on yourself when making a decision, and keep in mind that you are allowed to make mistakes.
I think this is it. I'm not sure if this was a short video because I've been recording for a while now. If you enjoyed it, please like it below. Oh, and if by now you can recall a moment where the sunk cost fallacy was present in your life, well, comment it down below. Bye!